Welcome to episode 24 of the Mile 62 podcast. I'm your host, Richard Elkins, coming to you from Austin, Texas. Today we got an exciting episode. We're going to talk about Arkansas trail running. And we're bringing in my brother and sister-in-law, Sam and Irma. They've been running ultras for over a year and live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. So wait after the break. It's going to be an exciting one. Thank you.
Hello?
Sam,
Hey.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome back to the podcast. Is Irma with you?
Yeah, she's sitting next to me.
Hi.
Hi, Irma.
How are you?
I'm good. So tonight I've got Arkansas's power ultra running couple on. So no, I thought tonight I'd do an episode on Arkansas's ultra running scene, you know, what it's like to run in the Ozarks. And you're in Fayetteville or Springdale? I can never remember. Springdale. I guess it's all the same thing. So it's northwestern Arkansas.
Yeah, same thing. We live in Springdale, but I'm 1 mile away from Fayetteville. So, and you know how I run most of the times there in Fayetteville.
Oh, okay. Now you're running next to a lake near your house there. What's the name of that lake?
Fayetteville Lake.
Okay, so that makes sense. I saw it on the map, but I wasn't sure if that was the same one or not. And that's the trail that y'all are running on most of the time. How far is it around, and what's the trail like?
It's pretty technical. We just ran it actually and we got thunderstormed on. It's a 6 mile loop.
Oh, okay. Is it a technical trail, like a lot of loose rocks, or is it what kind of trail is it?
It's a pretty nice open trail, but there's a couple rocky areas, and there's a little bit of elevation gain.
Oh, okay. What about in other parts of the area where you're at? I know there's quite a bit of mountains. What are some of the other trails that you ran out there?
Just the ones out by Steel Creek. There's a couple trails out there, and those are very technical. They're very moderate to hard.
Now that one ultra, the Lovett, I think it's the Lovett Ultra. Don't they have like 100K and 100 miler? Is that in that and up in that area?
It's south of here. Yeah, that's a really really hard mountains down there.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do the Travelers. I got on the wait list for it, I think a year ago, and I didn't get in, and it also conflicted with Javelina, but it's usually in October, and I was reading their website. You know that's one of the oldest 100-mile races in the United States. It's like in the top 5. Yeah, it's a rough one. It's in those mountains in south of 40 there in Arkansas, and basically you run. It's a very rural area, and you run some through a park in the beginning, but basically you go 50 miles out into the mountains, and then you turn around and come back.
Yeah, it's the Washita Mountains. Those are wicked mountains down there. I drive them in a truck all the time. I've never had the chance to run them though.
Yeah, I heard it's a real nice one. That's one that we should try to plan to do.
Yeah, hopefully we can.
It's canceled this year, I'm sure, but next year that might be a good one to do. And it's a qualifier for many big races too. I can't remember which ones, but I've heard that's a really good one. But they cap it at like 300 runners or something, and so you have to plan for it ahead of time, and then they have a waiting list. It's kind of like it's a good old boys, registration. It's not on ultra sign up or anything, but it's been around for a long time, and they have a really good trail running club that puts it on. Yeah. So Irma, tell me, Sam's been on the podcast a couple times, but this is your first time. So tell me a little bit about your running background. How long have you been running?
I've been running since 2005. I mean 2007, but not necessarily races. Just running for just for
Just
fun.
fun, yeah. So when did you
So,
get? I know you were involved in road running for a while. When did you start doing that?
and what?
The road races like marathons and half marathons.
Oh, when well, I became part of some running club in Dallas, and um, they invited me to do races, like just small races. Like I did a 10K in the beginning. That was a trail race actually, but from there they invited me to just run a marathon. I don't even I'm thinking, and I can't find the reason. I mean, I can't remember why I actually
Yeah, I
just
remember
signed up
y'all
for a
did the
marathon.
y'all went up to Chicago. Did you do the marathon or the half marathon?
The marathon, but see, back then in Dallas, I did the Dallas marathon first, but it was, I don't even know why, because basically I was already training and running trails. I was already in love with trails.
That's a tough one. I did the White Rock Marathon I think 3 times, and I
Right.
remember it distinctively because when I was growing up in Dallas, this is back when you filled out a piece of paper and you paid $20 and you could run a half marathon. And almost all the races in DFW were around White Rock Lake. And so I ran out there so many times during the 80s and 90s. And I did that marathon 3 times and also did Fort Worth. But the White Rock Marathon was very interesting because you went out and ran around the lake and then you finished in downtown Dallas. At least that's the way it
Yeah.
was when I did it.
Yeah. That became Dallas Marathon. Yeah. They did the marathon and added the White Rock. Um,
Oh,
Lake.
okay. Okay.
It's at 9 mile.
That's also a great place to go cycling too. Of course, y'all live in Arkansas now, but that's a great place to go cycling. Um, um, yeah. So when did you start doing, getting and wanting to do the longer trail races and ultras? What was your first one?
Well, from there, before I remember I did a 10K. I think it was a 10K trail before the marathon. That was back in June 2017. So this is after 10 years of me running just for run, just for fun, or for
Uh
just just to run, just to exercise. This is 10 years after I started running. I started running in 2007. And so I went back to running and to trail running in 2017. And then in April 2017, and then that was April. And then I think June, I went to my first 10K. So
oh,
from
okay.
there, I actually like it. I totally signed up for the marathon in that place because I really like it in Oklahoma.
Uh huh.
Um, I really like the place, so I knew I was going to run trails from there. But then my friends invited me to run the marathon, so we went for the Dallas Marathon. That's how I actually did. Just
Okay. So when did you run your first longer trail run?
um, my first one, November, I think, after the marathon, or no, I think my marathon was 2018. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
2018.
Well, I
So
know I know last year you did the habanero. You did the 100K, right?
yes, 100K. That was my first. Yeah, I guess that was my first ultra.
Yeah. So how did that go for you? Was it what you expected?
Yeah, I was just there to finish it, and I did. And I wasn't there to find a boyfriend there,
But you
and I
found one.
did, but I did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sam, why don't you tell us the famous light story?
yeah. I loaned her a headlamp, and then of course I waited for you to come in, and then we left, and then she contacted me later to return the headlamp, and we started talking, and then we ended up going to a race together, and then dating, and then ended up getting married.
Yeah, you know, you that's a you. What is it? You use that's a diamond black, right?
Yeah, Black Diamond.
Black diamond. I get them mixed up all the time. Yeah, you should do a commercial for them, and they should provide you headlamps for life for both of you.
There you go. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that answers the question. That's the first ultra. Before that I did 50 miles in April.
Uh-huh.
It's a race that a friend of mine do in Oklahoma, and it's a free race.
Oh, really? Where is it
So
at in Oklahoma?
I did it for basically for training, as I knew I was gonna do the 100K, so I went for the 50. So I have a medal, but we don't have a shirt, or we didn't pay for it. It's free, so it's a good training. It's a nice place to train. And
they have a name for those kind of ultras. I can't, fat ass or something. I forget the name of it, but it's exactly that. It's free, but you don't get any medal or T-shirt. I can't remember the name of it.
And I was surprised that I got a medal.
Oh, they did give you a medal. Huh?
They only gave us the medal for I think for the 50. I don't know. There's a lot of there was a lot of people running different distances, but they would only give the 50 miles. The 50 mile. Let me see the place.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for the Madill, Oklahoma.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that area, but
Yeah.
they're in the eastern part. Maybe Sam, you know where Wilburton is. That's in the mountains there. But that's some gnarly area of mountains, and they have an ultra there too. And I heard it's pretty difficult. I used to go to Wilburton. It's like an hour from both directions from any civilization. And there's a small town there that used to be a pump manufacturer, and I used to sell them parts. And that's how I know of that area. But it's like really off the beaten path, and I mean real wilderness. Where the nearest road is 50 miles away, type thing. But yeah, Oklahoma has got some pretty gnarly mountains there on the eastern side. I guess it's the same mountain range that goes into Arkansas. So
yeah, there's some pretty good mountains in Oklahoma.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's called Danman Challenge.
What's it called? Danman
Challenge.
Oh, okay, I've never heard of that.
It's a challenge they do every Saturday, every first Saturday of April.
Wow.
On every year.
Oh, okay. That's
like
cool.
the first Saturday of April every year. Of course, we didn't do it this year, but hopefully. So it was a good training for me, and then from there I just kept training a little for the 100K, and I guess
that sounds interesting. That sounds exciting. Speaking of challenges, I was reading about a challenge, or heard it on a podcast the other day. Is they had this broken ladder challenge up in the Northeast in Maryland, and the challenge was on basically there were 70 people that entered this first year. The first day they run 1 mile, the next day they run 2 miles, the next day they run 3 miles. They keep adding a mile every day. And they interviewed the guy that won it, and he said when he first joined the event, he figured it would go a couple weeks, but it ended up going 5 weeks. And when this guy ran like 500 miles in 1 month, and when the person who won the race, during that week, they were running 32 miles, 33 miles the next day, 34 miles the following day. It was unbelievable. And but some of the challenges that are coming out right now, with these virtual events, and people are being pretty creative. I heard on trail racing over Texas, they had the trot hour, and they were talking about some of these new races like Jalapeno 100. Maybe Sam has told you about that, but that's going to replace Habanero, and that should be November 7th, and it's going to be at the same location. But he was talking about another race he's planning on doing where it's a virtual race, but let's say it's 3 day a weekend and different race on each day, and you start time maybe 6 o'clock, but you must go to a trail near you at 6 o'clock and start the same time. So it's kind of so it's kind of half real race, half virtual, and
I
you
see.
and you must finish the race on that trail and then submit your your Strava or whatever. So some of these race directors are getting pretty creative because they can't have real races. The cities won't let them.
Really interesting, since you have to really start at the same time.
Yeah, you have to start at the same time, and you can't like stop and go home or anything like that. You have to finish it just like a real race.
Like someone that stops and goes home.
But that's been my complaint about a lot of virtual races. Even some of the ones that we have done. Like Sam and I did the Possum Kingdom. 69 miler. That was a horrendous race. It was really difficult to finish. And very hot, a lot of snakes. And there are people now that are able to get the same buckle by just running around their own neighborhood. I just don't like that idea.
Right. It's like, it's not the same thing. And you will become the first place because
you're
the only runner doing that one race.
Yeah, I don't mind if it's a pure virtual race where they're not replacing a real race, like they have the run across Texas and the run across Tennessee. I think those are great, but I just don't like them doing a virtual race to replace a real race. I think that because the people that got the buckles the previous year, that's not fair to them, That's my idea.
And me, it's not fun if I don't get the last place. I don't want to be the first place.
Yeah, well, I'm
just with everybody and get the last place.
Yeah, I'm just maybe I'm weird about it, but like I have one T-shirt from 100 miler that I DNF'd, the one in Huntsville, and I finished 100K in that race, but I still DNF'd. I don't even wear the T-shirt. I feel weird wearing the T-shirt because I didn't finish the race, So so maybe I'm weird about that. But you were I don't know if you listened to my last podcast, but I talked about the Tarahumara runners. They're from that Coahuila section of Mexico. So that's where you were coming from, Durango, right?
Yes, they're from Chihuahua, and it's
Chihuahua,
kind of same. Yeah, the same. It's next to Durango. Yeah, I'm from Durango, next to Chihuahua. So like they're neighbors.
Yeah, because I was reading that the Tarahumara, the explorers actually, the 17th century explorers actually gave them that name. So it's not their real name. Their real name is the Raramuri or something. I can't remember.
Raramuri. Yeah.
And that's that in I don't know if it's in their language or in Spanish, but they say that means lightning on feet. Is Raramuri a Spanish word, or is that their own language? Do you know?
That's their language.
That's their own language. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Is it very different than Spanish? I mean, could you understand it if somebody was speaking it, or?
No, it is different. I wouldn't understand it.
Okay, but they were talking about one interesting thing. They drink a lot of cactus liquor, and they basically have fun when they're running. But they get, we talk about nutrition and ultra marathons. Many people think that they're actually some of the best runners in the world. And what they use is something called pinola or pinoli. It's a beans. Do you know that?
Yeah, pinole. That's
pinole.
What they do.
So how do you make that? Is it just like beans and hot sauce, or?
It's toasted. It's some kind of it's corn. It's actually corn.
Oh, okay. So it's not beans. It's actually corn.
No, it's toasted corn, and it's just dry. You can make like you can mix it with water, which I assume they do it when they're running. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can mix it with milk and do some kind of like drink, which it's really good. But yeah, it's I tried that before, and it's basically their main what they used to run.
Yeah, it's like their nutrition, the one foreigner that spent a lot of time with him, his name was Caballo Blanco, White Horse, they called him.
Yeah.
And he said that in the book, I was reading parts of it, that they carried this in a bag. So I guess it'd be like a waterproof bag where they were putting like water in there with it or whatever.
Yeah, well, they can. I mean, I assume because they have. I mean, we have to drink water, right? But they just eat it as you know,
Okay.
as you were eating. I'm gonna say, like a powder of corn. It's just something you can just eat as a snack.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, very interesting. So what are your upcoming goals? I know the habanero got canceled, but what are your goals? I mean, do you want to finish 100 this year, or what are your goals for next year? Have you thought about that at all?
Well, I just want to try to keep training, and I find out about this race. Sam told me about the jalapeno. If we're gonna do that one, then I guess go for it.
Yeah,
If
I'm definitely gonna try to do it too. You know, it's at the same place. It's at Seven Isle Ranch, so it's the same place as Habanero.
right, yeah. So just do that one. If like 100 mile this year. If not, I guess we're gonna have to do it next year. But yeah, if we, I mean, I'm ready to run the 100 miles.
Yeah. Well, you and Sam have been doing a lot of biking. I mean, you're doing a lot of cross training with biking. Have you thought about doing any like triathlons or anything, or even bike events? How about you, Sam? You thinking about doing any tours or biking events?
Yeah, I want to do a triathlon next year. That's why I started biking so much.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, when I did some Olympic triathlons back in the early 90s, and I will tell you, the swimming part is really intimidating. I did a, I did one lake swim. It was only 1 kilometer or something like that, which is not very far. But when you're swimming, and the thing I didn't like was I actually had someone swim over the top of me and kick me in the face. So I think the triathlons are more organized now, and I did two of them that were in a swimming pool where they had lanes, and you just went back and forth, and it was a timed start so that not everybody started at the same time. That was actually pretty good because at the end of the triathlon, they gathered all the times, and then you knew what place you were. It wasn't a matter of who was in front of you and back of you. But that was actually that was a lot of fun. And I also did a lot of duathlons, which I liked a lot, but I don't see those anymore. I don't know if people do them. Basically, what that is where you run, bike, run. I like those a lot. And I did many that were like run 5K, bike 20K, run 5K. I thought those were fun. But it used to be very popular, but I don't hear about them anymore. Maybe I just don't look in the magazines because triathlon is kind of a separate sport. But I also think it would be neat to do like a half Ironman or something like that. I'm just kind of intimidated by the swim because swim is really all technique and you have to take lessons, and I would highly suggest you do that. Even if you can swim, I can swim pretty good, but I'm like a tugboat going through the water, so it just kills me, because when you half Ironman, you're going to be running, swimming like 1.2 miles or because
Yeah,
2.4 miles is full Ironman.
yeah, that's the one I want to start with, the 70.3.
Yeah, that's a long ways in water.
No,
Yeah.
for me, no swimming. I'm gonna do the
Yeah,
biking and running,
yeah,
and only because a friend of mine invited me, and since I'm already biking, then I guess I can have fun.
yeah. Before I started running, I was cycling, and there are some neat events. There are a lot more now today, but when I was living in Dallas Fort Worth, I did the Hotter Than Hell 100. I think I did that 3 times, and that was in Wichita Falls, where you bike 100 miles in 100 degrees. I
Oh
think
wow!
it's a real big event. I mean, thousands of people out there, and I think they still have that event, and that's a real neat one to do, and that's real close to one of the locations that Sam drives to.
Okay.
And I also did some mountain bike events, like the 12 miles of hell or something like that. That's right across the border in Oklahoma. There's a lot of neat mountain biking races too. That might be something, especially there's probably a lot of them in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's for.
actually, yeah, the mountain biking, I know there's one person on my LinkedIn network they always posting articles that they call Arkansas the mountain bike capital of the United States. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It seems like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But what
yeah. The
about
town next to us, Rogers, is supposed to be a real big mountain biking area.
really? What about road tours or road races? Do they have many? Have you inquired at the bike shops? Have you seen anything advertised? Of course, right now they're not having any, but they may have some regular annual ones there in the Fayetteville area.
Yeah, it's a huge bicycle community. It's one of the biggest in the United States, so they've got to have some races. As an example, when I was looking for a part for one of my bicycles this morning, there's like 11 bicycle shops within like a 30-mile radius. So
Wow. Yeah, Irma, I was telling Sam I got some clipless pedals, and I highly suggest y'all get some. It takes a little getting used to, but once you get used to it and get it adjusted right, you'll love it.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
you become part of the bike.
Okay.
The only warning that I would have is you want to keep it loose. I didn't have to adjust mine. Mine were loose when I got them. Basically, when you come out of your pedals, you're going left or right to get out. And it sounds simple, but the problem is your brain doesn't think about it. And when I first started riding with clipless pedals many, many years ago, I had a couple times, one time in Wichita Falls, where I came to the finish line, I was thinking about something else, and by the time my brain said unclip the pedals, I had already hit the ground.
Oh.
So yeah, when you're falling down, it's pretty hard to get your feet out of the pedals, but that's it's easy to learn and get used to, but boy, it's really neat because your foot's not moving around, and basically you and your bike are one. You're part of your bike, so it's pretty cool. But I highly suggest y'all. The ones that I got were not too expensive either. They're like I got the Look pedals. They were only $70. I highly recommend those. Those are working really well. So
Okay.
yeah. And then you can wear the nice cycling shoes if you have the clipless pedals. So.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, on the biking events, yeah, there's a lot. I've been invited to one in Bentonville, which is 15 miles away from here.
yeah, about 40.
40. Well, okay. I thought 15 when we go biking, 15, and then 15 back home.
So what kind of event is it?
Yeah, it is the biking event.
Oh, is it just a tour, or is it actually a race?
It's just like it's a race, but it's something like I think they have people also walking and running and basically,
okay.
Yeah. So I got invited to that one. I was invited to another one where you actually have to run and bike. And well, I'm not sure if it's going to be canceled, but it's before the end of the year, so I'm sure I'll be doing some of that.
That should be fun. They have a lot of stage races for cycling too. In running they have it, but it's even more popular in cycling, where they'll have, say, a tour across Arkansas or a tour across Texas, where you do like 100 miles one day and then you stay in a hotel and then do 100 miles the next day or less than that. But those I heard are a lot of fun. I've never had a chance to do something like that. Yeah. Fun. So it's like a short vacation, So.
Yeah. I think I can do that. That one.
Yeah. But getting back to running, so Irma, tell me what kind of equipment you're wearing these days.
Well,
what about shoes wise and hydration vest and?
Yeah, just now we were running. Oh, we were racing, right? Tell him about racing before I get into brands and stuff. So I was telling Sam this is the first time I used the Ultra Spire.
Yeah. Ultra Spire vest.
So you have the Zygos or which one do you have?
The Zygos 4.0, I think.
Yeah, that's the same one I have. I'm sponsored by them. So next time you guys want to get something, let me know. I can get a discount. So
I really like it.
Yeah, it's a good one. What I like about that one is how the hydration pack, you kind of turn that knob and it holds it in place,
Right.
That is when you'll find that when you go to an aid station, that is so fast to take in and out. And aid station workers like it too, because some of them, like the UD and stuff, are so hard to get in and out. And I remember one time I saw one guy that was working at an aid station. He was been in ultra running for a long time, and we were talking about hydration vests, and he says, if you want to buy a hydration vest, just work in an aid station at one race, then you'll know exactly which one to buy. Because some of them are so difficult to get the hydration bladder in and out, you know.
Right. And then tell him about the Hoka.
And then she runs with the Superior 4.0s.
Oh, okay. I've got a pair of those. Do you like the padding on those? Those are kind of thin compared to the other ultras.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him, that I always use those shoes for I use them this whole time for everything but running, you know, just to walk. And but then I tried them the other day. They were okay, but just to go in the trails, I mean, when it's rocky, just like the trail here where we're just running. No, I use them. I use the Hoka,
The speed goat, yeah.
Or the Torrent. I really like those.
Oh, the Torrent, yeah. I've never run in Torrent. Of course, I've run in speed goats, and actually the Superior was my first trail running shoe. The story with that is I was living in California. I went into a big running shop, and let me back up. At my first 50K, I went and ran the 50K in running shoes, road shoes. And I got a blister so bad on my ankle, I was wearing like Asics running shoes or something. I knew nothing about trail running. And I basically lost the skin on the back of my ankle. Such terrible shoes. So I immediately went to the big trail running store in the Bay Area, and I said I wanted some trail shoes, and they showed me the Superiors, and I grabbed them. I like them a lot, but for me, I'm such a heavy runner that they didn't have enough padding. So I still wear them if I'm like going like 10K or something like that. But if I'm going longer, I definitely need the thicker sole. So
yeah, it's like you get that feeling that if you're gonna if you're gonna do a trail race, you know, if it's a tough trail like we've been doing, you know, like the ones we did in Texas.
Yeah,
it's like you need all kind of shoes for sure.
So what do you plan in your next race? What shoe are you gonna wear? Are you gonna wear the speed goats or?
Yeah, I kind of wear both the speed goats and the Torrent. I always like that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I haven't tried that one.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling like Sam will like them, but he hasn't tried them either.
Yeah. So what about socks? What kind of socks do you wear?
We use what's the name of the ones?
Injinji trails.
Okay, that's the same thing for me. Injinji has changed their socks some, and I have the ultra trail ones, and I also have the road ones, and then I had an intermediate one. The road ones don't buy because the ankles will rip out real easy, but the thicker ones I like them a lot. And one that I want to try is Exoskin. I've been using their shorts, and I just got 3 more in, and they have a sock. You know, the Exoskin material's kind of got copper in it. It's a real interesting stuff, and I'll show y'all next time I see you. But
Okay.
I really like their shorts. They're like compression shorts, and basically prevent chafing, and they don't move around. They're pretty neat. But they make socks. I don't know if they got the license from Injinji or what, but they make toe socks too, and I've heard a lot of good things about them. So I think I'm gonna try theirs. But yeah, toe socks are definitely the way to go. Ever since I started using toe socks, I don't have a blister problem anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So she hydration vest, and yeah. So very interesting. What do y'all think about this Garmin situation? I don't know if they had to pay the $10 million or what, but the syncing is working now, but their app is still messed up. It's like flashing lights at me, and
it still says every time you go in there, it says they're
it's still maintenance or something. Yeah. And it's still showing, for our weekly run totals. It's still showing the total from last week. Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the problems is she got logged out, and then she's trying to recover her password, but they're not responding. So
Yeah, like I never lag out. It logged me out
Oh, wow.
when this happened. And so I have to wait for them to send me an email back to recover my password, or either find out if it's that, or maybe I used a different email and I don't remember which one it is. So, but then you can talk to them yet.
Yeah, their call center's down too. Yeah, maybe you'll get
Yeah.
an email. Maybe you'll get an email from some weird person asking for $10 or something. That's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah,
But yeah, other than that, it's Garmin has been working good for us. But back to the vest is really um like I have tried another one, and then another like running bottle that I use on the same trail, and this one was just in my body, like I didn't even know it's in my body.
yeah, it fits better. You know,
It doesn't bounce at all.
yeah, same for me. And my other one, it was a UD vest, and it was a lot more expensive. And the problem I had was in 100K events, it was chafing my underarms, and
Right.
I didn't want to tape my arms or anything like that. This Zygos vest, I have not had any problems with chafing. Now, I started wearing arm sleeves in all the races, even the hot and cold ones, and that helps a little bit. But I found that, over 100K, there's always a chance that your arms could get chafed a little bit. But I agree. I think the Zygos is a really good one. They have a new waist belt. I have a UD waist belt, and I'm thinking about getting the Ultra Spire waist belt. Highly recommended that is where you can put your phone, on your back, and it's got a place for your keys, and just for some. It's really ideal if you're going on like a couple-hour run and you don't want to take your vest.
Mm-hmm.
You can carry your phone and a few things in it.
And
But
just like one bottle of water, or
yeah, it'll hold a soft flask and your mobile phone in the back, and it won't bounce around. So that's a pretty good product, and their lighting product is very good too. I was telling Sam that I've got their waist light, and I use it in all ultras, and I still carry my headlamp, and sometimes I use both, like if I'm in a real dangerous area or there's ditches. One of the challenges with waist lights is sometimes they don't work well going in a steep decline, but they have a new model out they call the 3D that's supposed to be okay for decline. But the nice thing about the waist light is you can be running along, and when you put a headlamp on your head, especially in Texas during the summer races, because I used to do a lot of night races, if you're sweating and you don't have like a bandana or something, the headlamp, no matter how tight it is, it wants to slide around.
yeah,
It's just irritating. And if you're wearing it 20 hours plus, like I have sometimes, you'll get a headache because it's pressure on your head. So I really like the waist lights. And when I ran in Javelina, I carried my headlamp in my vest, but I never used it. I used my waist light in both times, and it was good. So if you're running a fairly not too hilly ultra, it's great. And yeah, so they make some good product. They make some good products. This Ultra Spire, yeah.
So you were saying you use the same vest, right?
Yeah. I got I when I bought my first, because when they contacted me and wanted me to be part of their program, I had been using their lighting for a long time, but I'd never used any of their hydration vests. So when I signed the agreement with them, it says you cannot use lighting or hydration vests from any other brand.
Right.
So I had to buy one of their vests, and I got the Zygos, which is actually one of their newer ones.
Okay.
And the owner, which is also a trail runner, that's the one he uses, because I'm in their Facebook group and he's always talking about it. It's his favorite vest. I think it's a really good vest, and I think they're doing real well with it.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I don't know where they got the name though. It's kind of a weird name, but Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to wrap up the podcast. Thank y'all for being on tonight. And I think we learned something about the Arkansas ultra running scene.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. I was telling Sam next time if you want to talk to my friend. She's from Chihuahua and she ran this marathon, Caballo Blanco.
Oh yeah, I want to do that one. It's like 50 miles. I think it's in April.
Me too. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's an ultra marathon. Yeah.
yeah. There, the one guy that won Bandera 2 years ago. He's he's originally from Mexico, but he's lived in the U.S. most of his life. I forget his name. A really good runner. He won Bandera, but he has also run that race and won it. And I listened to a podcast on that. And if I can find it, I'll send it to y'all. But he had great things to say about the race. He said the locals come out and they are so kind and helpful to the runners and all that. So yeah, I think it'd be neat.
And it's a really nice place to run, and it obviously is challenging. It's not. It's famous for that reason.
Yeah, it's if the Tarahumara runners are running there and living there, it's got to be a challenging area. So yeah. Okay.
So hopefully we run it next year or the following.
Yeah, I think we can because it's late spring, so
I mean the following it is in March, so we must do it in 2022. I hope.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Okay, well, y'all have a good evening. Thanks for joining.
You too. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.